Welcome to the R.E.S.T.O.R.E podcast, a place where we talk about healing, hope, and standing against injustice. We share stories of people who've been hurt and how they found peace again. We also speak up about human trafficking, helping to raise awareness and offer support. Join us as we learn, grow, and restore hope, one conversation at a time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the R.E.S.T.O.R.E podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for many of us. And that's envy. We've all felt it. Maybe when someone got the promotion we wanted, or maybe when scrolling through social media and seeing someone else's perfect life. But what does God say about envy? Why is it so dangerous? And how can we break free from its grip? Let's explore together.
No reason at all for God. But Jordan took it around. Jordan chose to go to the evil side.
This is the story of Alexis Crawford, aged 21, who was strangled, killed, put in a bag and then dumped in the woods by her best friend Jordan Jones and her boyfriend Barron Brantley. This all happened because Jordan's boyfriend, Barron, sexually assaulted Alexis and decided to kill her days later with the help of his girlfriend, Jordan, who also happens to be Alexis's best friend.
What is envy? Envy is more than wanting what someone else has. It's a resentful longing. It stirs up bitterness. It whispers that what God has given us is not enough. Proverbs 14:30 says, "A tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones rotten." That's a strong image, rotting bones. Envy doesn't just stay on the surface. It eats us from the inside out. James 3:16 warns us, where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder in every vile practice.
You lied on me.
And this is why I'm about to break the cycle. King and Dream will never see this. Bye.
Oh, okay.
They'll never see it.
Good.
They won't.
Good.
That's why they're not here.
Good. That's why they're not here.
Gotta let and get with it, then you gotta get lost. Dreamy comes Saturday, Sunday.
I don't
Monday.
have nothing to do with
So
that.
wait, so
What
this is
wrong?
why she's not here.
You're a weirdo.
Monday,
A whole
Saturday,
weirdo.
Sunday,
You're
Monday, Tuesday,
bipolar.
Wednesday.
Mental issues.
5 days.
You put your hand in my face again, girl.
5 days.
You're going to stretch your ass across this
So
kitchen. You better keep your hands on my face.
5 days.
Don't touch me no more.
5 days.
You do it again, I'm gonna rock your world in this mother.
So rock it.
You put your fucking hands on me again.
So rock it.
Put your hands on me again.
Rock it.
You a disrespectful
So 5
ass girl.
days.
You disrespectful is what you are.
I know.
Yeah, you are. I don't. You disrespect everybody. You make
Saturday.
your people cry. You take a car from your mama.
I never.
You took a car from your mother. Why you take the car?
Never.
Why you,
I never.
why you take a car? Why you stop my life? Why?
A car.
A car.
I bought you cars.
Yeah.
I paid you rent.
No, you ain't buy me a motherfucking car. Where's my motherfucking car you bought me? Where's it?
I gave you money. Are you
Girl,
serious?
you a
This is
weirdo.
not-
You
no,
a fucking
this is
weirdo.
not-
3 cars, 3 fast, expensive cars, 400 to 500,000, and yet my little $40,000 car, which is a Cartier bracelet, sits. What kind of shit is that?
You know.
My life. I never took nothing from
It's
you.
still inside. It's still in front of my house.
Exactly, but I took the car.
Yeah,
right?
you did. You stopped it. You
No, I
stopped
didn't,
it.
Miss
You
Tony.
stopped it. You a weirdo.
Shalana.
Really?
No, I did not. How would I stop? How
You
can I
need to
stop
get
it?
some. You need to get some help.
No. So
You
no,
need to get
let's
some
talk
help.
about it.
No, you need to get some help.
You're
Let's
nuts.
talk about
You're-
getting
you're-
you some mental help.
No,
something's wrong.
You're nuts.
Something's wrong.
Get out of my face.
Something's wrong.
Let's look at a few stories in Scripture where envy took root and the damage it caused. Cain and Abel. Cain became angry when God accepted Abel's offering, but not his. Instead of dealing with his heart, Cain let envy lead to murder. Unchecked envy destroys.
I'll name him Cain because I got him with the help of the Lord. Later she had another son and named him Abel. Abel became a sheep farmer, but Cain farmed the land. One day Cain gave part of his harvest to the Lord, and Abel also gave an offering to the Lord. He killed the firstborn lamb from one of his sheep and gave the Lord the best parts of it. The Lord was pleased with Abel and his offering, but not with Cain and his offering. This made Cain so angry that he could not hide his feelings. The Lord said to Cain, "What's wrong with you? Why do you look so angry? If you had done the right thing, I would have accepted your offering. But you did the wrong thing, and now sin is waiting to attack you like a lion. Sin wants to destroy you, but don't let it. Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go for a walk." And when they were out in a field, Cain attacked and killed him. Afterwards the Lord asked Cain, "Where is Abel?" "How should I know?" he answered. "Am I supposed to look after my brother?" Then the Lord said, "Why have you done this terrible thing? You killed your own brother, and his blood flowed onto the ground. Now his blood is calling out for me to punish you, and so I'll put you under a curse. Because you killed Abel and made his blood run out on the ground, you will never be able to farm it again."
Joseph and his brothers. Joseph's brothers envied the favor he received. Their jealousy led to betrayal. They sold him into slavery. Envy fractured their family, but even there, God's sovereignty brought redemption. And I want you to keep in mind of something when you're talking about Joseph and his brothers. When parents show favoritism, it breeds envy. It is not fair for a mother or a father to show favoritism over another child. That creates envy.
When I tell y'all mothers treat their sons so much better than they treat their daughters, is really crazy to me. Like, and every time I say something about it, it's like, that is not true. Yes, it is. Boom, right? My brother, I see him downstairs. This is my older brother. Now, I told you me and him not speaking right now. Well, I'm not speaking to him. He's still on something. I love you. I don't care. Whatever. I can love you from a distance. Deuce this. I get upstairs and I smell something good. My mother made breakfast. She made his favorite meal, liver and grits. I don't eat liver, but she make it for him because that's what he loved, and they the only two who eat that. Whatever. My mother, every morning is always feeding, make breakfast for me, make breakfast for me. The moment I don't want to cook or make breakfast, oh, you never do nothing for me, da da da. This man never made breakfast for her. He never made. She don't even know if he could cook. Boom. Yesterday, my little brother, they got into something. He called himself running away, right? Leaving the house and running away. She called me to fix the problem after blaming me for it. Hold on, not only that, I remember the time when I called myself leaving her house, and I didn't even tell her that I was leaving. I actually texted my little sister and told my little sister that I was leaving. I ain't expect my little sister, whatever. Anyway, that's another story. Boom. So I leave and wind up going to stay with somebody who I didn't even like. I didn't even like the boy, but I was with him at the time, so I just had to stay with him. But I was with him for a couple of days. I just said that to be funny because I was mad at the moment. But when I came back, literally they was throwing out all my stuff. Didn't even give me a chance, a trial and error, 7-day free trial, nothing to think if I wanted to come back. Like, I was just playing. I didn't even take all my stuff with me at the time yet. But yeah. So I was officially kicked back. I mean, obviously I'm back because whatever. I'd rather just deal with the things with my mother than with a man. But yeah, that's just goes to show how much differently.
A conversation that a lot of people are not ready to have, bro, is that a lot of parents be jealous of their kids, bro. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of parents out here, there's a lot of dads that are jealous of their sons. There's a lot of moms that are jealous of their daughters, bro. It's a lot of parents out here that are jealous of their kids. And I know it's kind of sad to say, because who would think that somebody that birthed them or that helped create them would be jealous of them? I'm telling y'all, bro, it's real, bro. A lot of parents out here, some of these parents out here, bro, probably more than you think, be jealous of their kids, bro. And a lot of the times, bro, it could stem off looks. You feel what I'm saying? It could stem off the things that they're doing in their life that the parents wish they would have did. Like, it could stem off a lot of things, bro. And it's really sad, bro. But just like people can be jealous of you, bro, your parents can be jealous of you too. Real talk.
King Saul and David. Saul was eaten up with envy over David's victories. It led him into a spiritual decline, rage, and attempts on David's life. When envy consumes us, we lose sight of God and lose the peace he offers.
So part of God's story is about two guys named David and Saul, and it begins like this. You may have heard of David before, the little shepherd boy who stood up to the massive warrior Goliath and won. But that isn't the whole story. In fact, that's really only a part of it. The rest of the story starts with a man named Saul. See, God wasn't very happy with Saul, Israel's first king. The people of Israel had begged God's prophet Samuel to give them a king so they could be more like other nations. God warned the Israelites they would regret it, but gave them Saul as their king. And like anyone, King Saul wasn't perfect and soon started to mess up, disobeying God and leading Israel away from him. And that's where our friend David comes in. God wanted a new king to replace Saul, so he sent Samuel to a man named Jesse. Jesse showed Samuel his eldest sons, big and strong men. Samuel thought for sure that one of these impressive boys was to be king, but God had other plans. God told Samuel to find another son, so Jesse brought in little David. Even though David was a little scrawny and had the smelly job of taking care of sheep, God told Samuel to look at more than his appearance. Samuel obeyed and anointed David, God's special way of choosing people. When David was anointed, the good spirit that had been helping Saul rule left him and was replaced with a new spirit that wouldn't leave him alone. Imagine there was a bee buzzing around in your brain that you couldn't do a thing about. That may be what it was like for Saul. Since Saul was going a little crazy, his servants had David, a great harp player, come to the palace and play music to calm the king. Now, one day, David came to bring his brothers, who were working as soldiers, some lunch. What started out as a lunch delivery soon turned into one of the most famous stories in the Bible, where tiny David took down the massive warrior Goliath with a single stone. After this, David was like a famous rock star. In fact, David was so popular that Saul worried people would start thinking David should be king instead. Saul began to try and kill him, sending him on dangerous quests where any normal guy would have died, and even threw a spear at his head once. Eventually, things got so bad that Jonathan, Saul's son, who David had become great friends with, helped David escape. David wandered for years trying to stay out of Saul's grasp. Twice, Saul even got so close that David had the opportunity to kill him. But David refused to kill the king in charge. David continued to flee from Saul for years, and without God's blessing, Saul's army was losing to the Philistines. Soon enough, Saul's army had been defeated. Jonathan had died, and the Philistines were now chasing them. Saul was so afraid of capture that he chose to fall on his own sword instead of letting the Philistines catch him. When David heard of Jonathan and Saul's death, he went out and avenged them. And with Saul dead, David returned to Israel and at last took his place as God's new king.
Parable of the workers. Everyone was paid the same regardless of how long they worked. Some grumbled. Why? Envy. The lesson here is that God's generosity is not measured by our standard of fairness. Focus on His grace, not your neighbor's blessings.
A landowner went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a day's wage and sent them to work. At 9 noon and even 5 in the afternoon, he hired more workers. When evening came, he paid all of them the same wage, starting with those who worked just 1 hour. The early workers were upset. They thought they deserved more. But the landowner said, "I'm not being unfair. You agreed to this wage. Can't I do what I want with my money?" This story teaches us that God's grace isn't earned. It's freely given to all, no matter when or how they come to Him. Don't compare your journey to others. Trust God's plan for you.
So how can you tell if someone that you are around on a regular basis is jealous of you or very envious of you? Well, I've put together 5 signs that your loved one may be envious of you. Number 1 is backhanded compliments. They praise you, but it's laced with subtle digs, like you're doing well for someone like you. Number 2, minimizing your achievements. Instead of celebrating with you, they downplay your successes or act unimpressed. For example, Number 3, competes with you. They always try to outdo you, even when you're not in competition, turning everything into a comparison. Number 4, disappears during your wins. So all of a sudden they're too busy or distant when you have good news, but they're always available to listen to you struggle. When you need someone, a good shoulder to cry on, here they come. But when you need someone to give you a high five because you've succeeded, they're nowhere to be found. And number 5, they gossip or speak negatively about you to others under the guise of being concerned. Oh, I'm just concerned about her. What do you think's going on? Always be aware of people. Sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, I heard this and that about you. Well, why was this person so comfortable coming to you with that? If you're my friend, then they should not feel so comfortable speaking about me to you like that.
They say you get green with envy, but the truth is that I think you become blind with envy. Blind to the goodness of God in your own life because you are so transfixed on the goodness in other people's lives. It's hard to notice. You become blind of all the things that you should be grateful for in your own life and your own relationship with God, because all you can think about is what they have, what God has done in their life that maybe hasn't done in your life. You're so transfixed on that. I wrote it down this way: beware becoming bitter, believing others have it better.
The bitter fruit of envy. Envy just doesn't stay inside. It shows up in how we live. It causes internal decay. Proverbs says it rots the bones. It stirs up strife and disorder. It leads to cruelty. Wrath is cruel and anger is overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy? And perhaps more painfully, envy damages relationships and creates distance between us and God.
In fact, I would say all of life is either thanksgiving for what God has given us or aspiration for something that might be good for us. So the question is, what makes envy evil? What makes the wanting of something evil? Proverbs 37, fret not yourself because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers. It seems like people were looking at those who were prospering in their wrongdoing. They had things and they were feeling envious of it. Or Proverbs 14, a tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones rot. Or Matthew 27, for he knew that it was out of envy that they had delivered Jesus up. So envy is a horrible thing. It resulted in the killing of the Son of God. That was a motive behind the destruction of Jesus. Or Romans 1, since they did not approve to have God in their knowledge, God gave them up to a debased mind. They were filled with envy, murder, strife. Same thing in 1 Peter 2:1, put away malice and deceit and hypocrisy and envy and all slander. So clearly, this is a good question. We don't want to be eaten up by something that crucified the Son of God and that is all tied up with hypocrisy and deceit and slander and evil. So when I try to get at what the essence of it is and how to handle it, it seems to me that those texts have some clues in them. It seems to be born, envy seems to be born of a restless heart that does not find God satisfying. So we're craving and we're yearning, we're aching toward what somebody else has because God himself is not satisfying our soul. So envy is a wanting something, some gift or some ability or some looks or something that somebody else has, with one of two feelings that make it bad. Either resentment that they have it and you don't, and so your heart is irritated, not just that you want it, but that they have it and you don't, and that's loveless. when we're upset that somebody else has something and we don't have it, and it makes us irritated and angry, we know that lovelessness has gripped our soul. Or a discontent, not just resentment that they have it, but a discontent in our own soul that makes us distrustful of God or angry at God. Why didn't you give me that? Why did they have it and I don't? Why did you withhold this from me? I know, Tony, in my teenage years, the fact that I couldn't talk in front of a group came the closest to make me envious. I'd see these people who could speak so easily in front of groups and I couldn't. Or to this very day, the fact that I read so slowly, I have to constantly go back to God and say, Lord, I could accomplish so much more, I think. if you had just given me the ability to read as fast as Tony Ranke could read.
No, don't start.
And you really have to revisit these things over and over again and lay them down and say, God, I trust you. You are good. So I think at bottom, the remedy is not that I am speaking of being in need. This is a quote from Philippians. For I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low. I know how to abound in any and every circumstance. I've learned the secret of facing plenty. So there you've got enough. Or hunger. Now you could start feeling envious. They have more. I want more. I don't have enough. They have plenty. And Paul says there's a secret of trust in the goodness of God that enables you to feel contentment in all that you have. So I think the key is trust Him with what He has given us and only ask for things that would honor Him more, and then be content with what God gives us.
So how do we fight back? How do we break envy's grip? First, we must learn contentment. Paul wrote in Philippians 4:11-13, I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Contentment is not about pretending or faking it till you make it. We don't desire more. It's about trusting that Christ is enough. So we need to start with gratitude. List what you're thankful for every morning if you need to. Gratitude weakens envy. Next, we need to celebrate others. Romans 12:15 says, rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. When we celebrate others sincerely, we chip away at envy's hold. Send a message. Cheer someone on. Let their win be your joy.
Find your dreams come true.
Next, we should love instead. 1 Corinthians 13:4 says, love does not envy. We cannot walk in love and envy someone at the same time. If there's someone you envy, pray for them, bless them. That's how love wins. Next, we need to put on Christ. Colossians 3:12-15 tells us to clothe ourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, patience, and love. These are the fruits of the Spirit. When we walk by the Spirit, envy has no room. We should trust God's plan. What God has for you is for you. No one can stop it but you. Trust God. He's good. He sees you.
You block your own blessing because you get in the way of the answer. God don't need you in the way, man. I'm telling you real. Just ask God for big stuff.
Hey, see, the thing about me is, I'll never hold myself back from being blessed, hating on your blessings. Because me personally, I want to see you win. I want to see you succeed in every aspect of your life. I'll never be in competition with nobody except for myself. And that's just how I am.
Next, we should confess and repent. 1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us. Call envy what it is, a sin. then bring it to the cross.
Envy is one emotion that almost no one will ever admit to, because to admit to feeling envy is to admit that you feel inferior to another person. We don't like to do that. We want to feel superior. So no one will ever admit that they acted out of envy. Chimpanzees, they've done studies, chimps and primates showed signs of envy. What does it come from? It comes from the fact that we're a social animal and we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. Does he have more than I do? Is he getting more respect than I'm getting? Is his car better than mine? Is he have more perks and privileges than I'm getting? How did he get into that university and I didn't? We're all doing it. Stop denying that it's happening. It's how the brain functions. Once you're aware that you actually feel envy and you're finally honest with yourself, then you can move beyond it.
Before we close, take a few minutes to reflect. Where are you? How are you feeling? Is there someone you're comparing yourself to? Please remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Whatever the Father has for us is for us. Remember, we are the righteousness in Christ Jesus, and we should only focus on and compare ourselves to where we were in the past to where we are now. Your brother is not your competition. Be blessed. Thank you for being a part of Restore today. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, share, and help spread awareness of the message of healing and awareness. Remember Isaiah 61:1 as we continue to restore hope and freedom in the lives of those who need it the most. Together, we can make a difference. One story, one life, and one step at a time. Until next time, may God's peace and restoration be with you.